China, with her vast rivers and towering mountains, spans 5 time zones and thousands of miles. These spectacular peaks and nourishing waters sustain countless forms of life. We will range far and wide, visiting some of the most fascinating corners of this enchanted land and admiring the charms of wild China. This is a sea that regularly freezes over. A steady inflow of fresh water from numerous rivers turns it, in winter, into a polar-like ice field that is desolate, deserted, and lifeless. However, for the seals, this cold, tough environment is their breeding ground. This is China's northernmost inland sea, Bohai. In early summer, when warm and humid air from the Pacific meets the low-temperature sea surface, an advection fog is generated that extends over hundreds of square kilometers. The fog envelops everything on the sea's surface to create something resembling the mountainous realm inhabited by immortals in ancient legends. After unifying the 6 kingdoms to form China some 2,200 years ago, Emperor Qin Shi Huang is said to have sent envoys here in search of the storied land of immortals. Bohai, an extension of the northwestern Pacific, covers an area of 80,000 square kilometers. In Bohai Heishia lies a chain of islands extending eastward towards the Yellow Sea and the Korean Peninsula. This island chain is formed of the tips of a mountain range. With their bulk mostly submerged, their visible peaks are aligned north to south, ending in a tapering tail at their southern end. This line traces the boundary between Bohai and Huanghe. On its western side, Bohai is no more than 18 meters deep, while on the eastern side, the depth is 90 meters. This difference influences the speed of the current and leaves an enduring mark on the sea's surface. The floor of Bohai is the natural extension of China's continental shelf. Numerous rivers discharge nutrients into the sea, on which the marine life feeds. In summer, the jellyfish seize the opportunity to catch plankton and small fish. The islands serve as a major staging post for passing wildlife. Birds, making the islands their breeding ground, fight for the best plot on this real estate. With summer approaching, they need to hurry. Space is scarce on this island. The black-tailed gull was once on the verge of extinction. Effective protective measures have seen its population increase markedly. They prefer to build their nests in clusters, but with materials hard to come by, there's considerable risk of being robbed. By keeping a low profile and being patient, this pair of gulls have finally achieved their dream. Soon, every corner of the island is occupied. The rare yellow-billed egret has set up home in a patch of bushes beneath the cliff. There are fewer than 2,000 of these egrets in the world. This rocky island in Bohai Hashia is one of their few breeding grounds. Every autumn, flocks of migratory birds travel south for the winter, from eastern Siberia, Sakhalin, and even Alaska. For these birds, Huanghe Delta on the southern shore of Bohai is an important stopover. This is Huanghe, the second longest river in China. The mother river of Chinese civilization. It originates high up on the Qingzhang Gaowan. Following a tortuous course, it flows eastward for 5,464 kilometers before emptying into Bohai. This great river, which carries more sand than any other river in the world, has created Huanghe Delta, which covers an area of 5,400 square kilometers. At the start of November, large numbers of migratory birds from the north begin to arrive. They hover and dance above the ancient river and the new wetlands. The thousands of Baikal teals along the river sway and move in unison. These huge crowds only gather during migration and wintering. The force of life embodied in Huanghe manifests itself wonderfully in this vigorous mass dance. These grooves were left by the receding tides that once swept the beaches. They're often called tidal tree patterns. Like a network of veins extending into Bohai, they facilitate the exchange of nutrients between river and sea. For the red-crowned crane, this rutted area offers an ideal habitat. The red-crowned crane is regarded as the epitome of beauty in China. These elusive birds, mounts of the immortals in legend, were especially cherished in ancient times. An adult bird stands 160 centimeters in height and has a wingspan of 240 centimeters. With their gorgeous plumage and graceful posture, in Chinese culture, they are a symbol of longevity, faithfulness, and nobility. Further north, another river feeds into Bohai. Compared to the golden-colored Huanghe, Liaohe contains far less sand. In winter, it completely freezes over. One of China's 7 major rivers, Liaohe flows across the vast plains of northeast China. In winter, it brings with it cold air from Siberia. In mid-January, at the Liaohe estuary, the temperature plunges to -20. In the biting wind, even the seawater close to shore begins freezing over. The white-tailed eagle from northern Eurasia brings its offspring to winter here. These birds of prey, with their 2-meter wingspan, soon turn the sky into a battlefield. Food is hard to come by on this now snow-covered land, so disputes are bound to break out. But even the most ferocious eagle has to restrain itself. After all, the winter is the greatest challenge they all face. Only by sharing the scarce food can they ensure their chicks' survival. Amid the constant low temperatures, the ice fields are rapidly expanding. Bohai is one of the few places in China where large stretches of ice floe are formed. It's also the southernmost place in the northern hemisphere where they can be observed. Here, a single ice floe can be as long as 80 nautical miles. On this floating block, a young seal is rubbing its fetal fur with ice and snow. Born less than half an hour ago, it's still wet all over. The mother seal has yet to recover from the fatigue of childbirth. The spotted seal is distinguished from its cousins by its distinctive coat. Its main habitat is the northern and western Pacific. It's the only pinnipedia mammal that breeds in China's territorial waters. Worldwide, there are about 8 spotted seal breeding grounds. Bohai is the southernmost and closest to a landmass. In December, the seals leave the Bering Sea to give birth in Bohai. The baby seal is wet and hungry. It wants its mother. But two curious male seals have wandered over. The baby seal is at its most vulnerable. The wary mother acts immediately to repel the intruders. The males take the hint and beat a hasty retreat. In March, with the end of the cold spell, the sea ice begins to melt. The clever seals are hitching a ride and floating toward shore. On the western side of the Liaohe estuary, the muddy beaches basking in the spring sunshine are like a kindergarten for the baby seals. Unlike the open sea, the relatively isolated Bohai is quite calm. The river estuary, with its abundance of fish and shrimps, offers the mother seals an excellent spot to feed their young. The next 2 months are a critical learning period for the baby seals. Only if they master a full skill set will they be able to follow their mothers and survive in the much rougher northern Pacific Ocean. This is the world's most spectacular migration by wading shorebirds. In 2007, a bar-tailed godwit flew for 8.5 days over a distance of 11,587 kilometers to set a record for the longest non-stop flight by a bird. Yalujiang Estuary is a vital supply station during such a long-distance journey. A peregrine falcon appears. Time after time, it charges into the flocks of waiting birds, trying to snatch some prey. The mass of waiters react in concert and shift their ranks. Their well-coordinated response thwarts the falcon. Eventually, though, the falcon secures its dinner. Yalujiang forms part of the border between China and DPR Korea. Its estuary is the endpoint of China's northern coastline. Each May, swarms of migratory birds returning from the southern hemisphere arrive at this typical coastal wetland. After flying for thousands of kilometers, the exhausted, starving birds are on their last legs. Among them are even some badly injured birds that have managed to limp here. They will resupply here before embarking on the final leg. With the tide advancing, the shorebirds have to move to higher ground. These small birds with short bills can only feed in shallow waters. The bar-tailed godwit's long, slender bill is ideal for locating food in the mud. They're particularly effective in prying open shellfish and picking out the tasty morsels. The dunlin's got its bill pinched by a clam. Repeated attempts have failed to dislodge it. It's a sight that will cause a knowing smile among Chinese people who have heard the fable of the struggle between a bird and a clam, and how it's the patient fisherman who benefits. As the tide rises, the mudflats are completely submerged. Lunchtime is over. But the poor dunlin's predicament hasn't ended. With an empty stomach, it has to join others on the journey's final leg. In a few short minutes, tens of thousands of dunlins have formed up. Soon they will head north to their breeding grounds in eastern Siberia and Alaska. Large numbers of gray herons and egrets have chosen to stay in the Huanghe Delta on Bohai's southern shore. Here, amid the extensive wetlands and reed ponds, they can build their nests and hatch their young. The oriental white stork is a star of the wetlands. In recent years, Huanghe Delta has become its largest breeding ground, witnessing the birth of over 2,200 chicks. In the wetlands created by Huanghe, man-made islands are helping to purify the water and are providing the birds with a suitable living space. Some 10,000 black-billed gulls are now breeding here. On an island in Bohai Haishia, these gull chicks are greeting the world. Fresh out of the shell, they are entirely dependent on their parents. It's getting warmer, and the red sueda salsa is taking the opportunity to spread across the mudflats north of Bohai. With its annual renewal, the wetland offers the cranes that have stayed a more habitable home. First explored and developed in ancient times, Bohai is China's busiest sea area. Its history of being exploited by humans for 3,000 years is now beginning a new chapter. For centuries, the timeless wisdom of following nature's rhythms have ensured the continued vitality of these waters. Now, more species of life, both resident and transient, are benefiting from their bounty.